Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Rueben with a House Call Special Report. I'm standing here in front of Canon McMillan High School, where officials say they're investigating videos that emerged on social media of what appears to be Canon Mac students using racial slurs via Snapchat.
Yeah! We got niggas.
On social media and in the community, conversations have begun, led by community activist Trey Willis and others, about what should happen next. We sat down with Mr. Willis and several Canon Mac students to talk about this incident. How many of you know these kids personally?
I do.
You're the first, you were the original one to post this?
Meet Jasmine, Damari, and Jocelyn. They're students at Canon Mac.
So wow. I felt like the school wasn't going to do anything about it, so this was my next step.
And that's not uncommon for you guys to hear this kind of stuff.
No. Like we hear that kind of stuff like daily basically, and we're like kind of immune to it. I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah.
We're told to just get over it, and just like we didn't go through slavery, so that word shouldn't like bother us at all. It doesn't. They say if the shoe fits, wear it. But
in other words, they're saying you're not an N-word, so why do you care?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear about it, or you hear it to your face?
On social media, we get like threats sometimes about like people using those type of words and stuff towards us.
Yeah. And something happened in the cafeteria.
This one kid yelled across the cafeteria and really loud, so everybody heard and everybody looked at him, and all his friends were just laughing about it. We kind of like lashed back, and we got called down to the office, and then I got put into the dean's office because I was like the main one like saying stuff back to him. The dean was like, "Are you mad that he's white and that he's saying it, or do you genuinely not like the word?" He said, "I mean, you guys say it in rap songs all the time." And then that's when he said, "Nigga this, nigga that, nigga," like to keep on saying it over and over again. And that was the dean of the school.
Do you feel like Canon Mac is racist?
Yes, absolutely.
There's people in the school that are racist and prejudiced, including teachers and other students.
I mean, we're not saying that there's not racism at every other school, but we just feel like it's worse. We've all been to a lot of schools, and it's never been this bad.
Yeah.
In your experience, Canon Mac is worse than other places?
Yes. Yeah.
Probably at the top.
Yeah.
The girls acknowledged that some black students are more popular than others, but when asked if those students would still say there's racism at Canon Mac, they had no doubt.
I just, like, some of the people that I asked to do this, they just didn't want, like, to be, you know, recorded or, like, because there is probably going to be, like, people that have something to say about it, so.
You'll get pushback from your friends.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe us saying something about it will show other kids and people our age that, hey, if you're experiencing this, it's time to speak up about it. There's not going to be a change unless we help make that change.
The change starts with you. If you don't do something, then who will? So
we also sat down with parents of 2 of the 3 girls we spoke to.
This is not the first time you've heard about racism at Canon Mac.
No.
Nah, it's always, I mean, it's always been there.
Right, but you went to Canon Mac.
Yeah.
And you have stories of your own.
Yeah, like there was a club there. You know, they would get bold every once in a while because there's a few of them called the CBK.
Okay.
And they tried to say it meant like Country Boys Club, but clearly that wasn't it. There was a couple other things people thought it meant, whether it's Colored Boy Killers, but even they weren't running around screaming it in cafeterias and stuff like that. They would say it, but it would be indirect.
Right. What do you think? I mean, what do you think's supposed to happen next?
Somebody needs to do something. I mean, in school, they're saying like you can't do anything. You have to do something. Yeah. You tell your kids and tell them to look the other way and do right, but one day someone's gonna get tired of it. You know, it starts to escalate because it could have got nipped in the butt, but no one wants to do anything about it.
And you brought up a good point. What do you say to the girls when they come home and tell you about some racist? What's your message?
I mean, it's hard because you want them to stand up for themselves and their culture, and at the same time, you don't want them getting in trouble. Right. So you're in a tough spot, especially, you know, being in an interracial relationship.
But you would argue the school has to do something.
Yeah, I think they should. And even if it's not on school property, it needs to be addressed. Like, these are children in your school. So, like, as an adult, if you work somewhere and you're out saying these things on social media, what happens? These people are losing their jobs.
Right. So you're saying the school should get out in front of it, say something, let everyone know where they stand.
Yes. And posting on social media and then deleting your apology or not your apology, but saying that we're addressing this, and then you delete it. What is that saying? That's a statement all in itself.
Right. And we sat down with Trey Willis, a community organizer who's been very vocal about race issues in Washington County.
So, how did this story come to you? How'd you end up in this?
I was at work the other day, and then my inbox started like flooding with the videos that I ultimately shared from both students and concerned parents of students.
And you've been pretty vocal about the idea that something needs to be done. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, from everything that I've been involved with, the word that I use often is accountability. So I'm just big on accountability. I believe that these students involved know what they're doing. They're aware of the severity and history to the word and the offense with it. And I think they know what they're doing. I think they need to be held accountable for it.
What does that mean? You're the principal of the school. What happens?
Well, especially with the video of the boy. This video was determined to be taken on school grounds, so I believe that opens the door for disciplinary action from the school. He's also the starting quarterback for their football team. I believe that warrants disciplinary action from the athletic department. You know, because there's a chance he really is not trying to hurt nobody and just maybe not understanding the gravity with this particular word.
Right.
So.
I have said to you, these are kids. You know, we don't want to go hard on kids, right, so to speak. We don't want to be on social media attacking them. But you're saying this is an opportunity to have a conversation.
Yeah, not only is it an opportunity to have a conversation, it's an opportunity to be unbiased in our approach to how we deal with teenagers. We were just in Canonsburg dealing with certain issues, and one of those issues was, excuse me, a 17-year-old unarmed black teenager being shot in a movie theater after being called this same racial slur. So the word right now is even extra sensitive for everything going on, but also just the way we witness these teens be treated after the incident. I think it's safe to say that these teens could be held to the same standard that our immediate public has already set for a much more severe situation.
Because you're saying the teens in that movie theater incident, they were attacked on social media. They were attacked in public.
Yes, absolutely. Treated as if they warranted, the balance that was enacted upon them was warranted. To see some of these same people saying that these are just children, they don't know what they're doing, you know, let's give them a second chance, let's talk. We can do all of that. That don't free them from consequence.
Right. And so you believe that these kids in these new videos, there's got to be a consequence.
There has to be a consequence because this is a culture that is to any kid of color that has come up in these school districts. This is something that we've encountered for some time. We just didn't have the platform. We just didn't have the voices to be able to shed light on and draw attention to what's been going on and still obviously is going on. And
that's something that we mentioned. I was talking to one of the parents that I spoke to is an alumni of Canon Mac, and he said this has been going on forever. This is not new.
It's not new. Our response is new. This is something that I think they're not ready for. They wasn't prepared for people to have such passionate feelings in regards to such topics on black and white alike. I've been standing and in contact with white parents the same way I have with black parents that are just as outraged. And that's what I think is new to the game. I think social media is new. I think platforms such as your own is new. These things didn't exist when I was a child and I was being called a nigger. You know, I went to my teachers, I went to the principals, and they made you feel as if you was being petty, as if you shouldn't care that much. But I did. And I think I had a right to, and I think that if I cared that much and other students like myself cared that much, I think the school district should have as well.
I'm sure you echo my sentiments when I say that I applaud the young people who stepped forward.
Absolutely.
Because that's huge. I think you're right that when we as adults tell young people, oh, it's not a big deal, relax, you're sending them a message about their value.
Yeah, definitely. Just to point out, you know, every demonstration that I've had, I think adults have been outnumbered by the youth. So I think the message is clear coming from the youth that they're awake. They have been awakened. And they're paying attention, and they're much more concerned about these issues than the adults around them want to probably admit.
This is a lot to digest. As I think about everything that I heard today from the young people, from parents, from a community leader, I was most struck by the stories that the teens told. Although you only got to hear a piece of it for this segment, the students, the young people, they had tons of stories about instances where they had encountered racism, and they insisted that many of their friends had the same stories or similar stories, but maybe didn't feel comfortable or didn't see the point in talking about them on camera, almost as if to say they're used to it and nothing's going to happen, so what's the point in making this fuss? And so I really hope that what we can do here is at least have this conversation. Like Trey Willis said, let's have a conversation where we maybe learn something from this. Hopefully the young people learn something from this. Another thing that I want to think about is what the school would do about this. I looked up the school's policy on any policy that might address this, and I found in their school handbook a policy on harassment. And they define harassment as verbal, written, graphic, or physical conduct relating to an individual's race, color, national origin or ethnicity, gender, age, marital status, familial status, veteran status, personal characteristics, disability, sexual orientation, or religion. When conduct is sufficiently severe, persistent, pervasive, that it affects an individual's ability to participate in or benefit from an educational program or activity, or creates an intimidating, threatening, or abusive educational environment. And the policy goes on to talk about other stipulations and parameters, and then a very, very vague discussion of what should happen if the school deems that there was harassment. At least in the eyes of the 3 students that I spoke with, there is an intimidating and uncomfortable environment. I can't say whether or not objectively that is true because I'm not there. But what these students suggested is that black students, for the most part, see this as their reality. They know that someone can say something racist at any given moment, and that there's very little to nothing that will be done about it. I guess my challenge to the educators is, because I'm an educator, so my challenge to the educators is, how do you change that? How do you make it so that that is not these students' reality? And my challenge is not for them to defend their school. In other words, don't immediately defend and say, you know, it's not bad here, right? The challenge, the real hard part is to see the world through the eyes of somebody else. And so through the eyes, at least, of these 3 teens, there is an environment that is uncomfortable based on race. And they gave concrete examples of times when teachers, administrators made it worse, not better. Now, I'll give this disclaimer. I have not spoken with the school, and I encourage anyone at the school that wants to refute this information, please call us. I'd be happy to sit down with you. I'd love to hear about this from your perspective. And you know, I'm certainly not judge and jury in this thing, and so it doesn't necessarily matter what I think. But in my opinion, it does matter what the students at your school think. And if any student at your school feels intimidated based on race, in my opinion, something's got to be done. So let us know what you think. We were happy to be able to give you the voice of these young people. I don't know that anyone else has done that yet. And so here at House Call, we were happy to be able to listen to the young people, because I don't know that that always happens. But let us know what you think. Leave us comments, send us messages. If there's something about this story that we need to know, please do let us know. But for now, that's all we've got. I'm Dr. Rueben Brock, and this is House Call.